start with, and so you'll need to unmute to speak. If you're joining by phone, you'll do that by pressing *6. You can also use non-verbal feedback options, and which you can find under the reactions button. And that's also where you can find a button to raise your hand. So we'll make use of that when we open it up for discussion at various points along the presentation. Called into the meeting.
Signor Choma, attraverso il telefono, non pressiona.
I'm just going to give just a moment to allow the interpreters to finish saying what I've just said.
Realiza search, pausa, senhor Choma via telefone. Depois, senhor quiser dar minhas opiniões sem ser através de voz, nós temos que essa opção também. Se nós quiser levanta, se nós quiser fazer uma pergunta, nós levanta a mão, por favor. E se nós quiser levanta a mão, nós pressiona estrela 9, se nós chama através de telefone, por favor.
Today we're focusing on Pleasant Street and what we
Pleasant Street.
So first we'll do some introductions.
Then
presentation. I'll speak to the purpose of the
propostu, projetu.
Then we'll get to some
Objetivamente e propostas de mudança. Na tua área de localização, oportunidades e tenhas contribuições, opinião e qualquer pergunta que possa tiver para fazer.
I'll introduce myself first. My name is
Jen. Fazer a apresentação de pessoa, meu nome é Kalmu, eu planejador do Departamento Transporti.
Hi, my name is Dan Merrow. I'm a
Austin.
professional engineer working in the same
Meu
department.
nome é Dan Merrow, eu engenheiro que trabalha no Departamento de Transporti de Boston.
Thank you, Dan.
Dan.
All right, so some of this will be review for those who joined us at our earlier meeting in December.
Alguns que escusariam revisão daquele que
Project goals and what we've done so far.
projeto.
So with this project, we are aiming to
Com esse
calm
projeto, a intenção de calma no tráfego,
We're also aimed to
velocidade de
make
tráfego na Pleasant
crosswalks
Street.
along Pleasant Street safer and better for people
Nos
to cross,
torna melhor
people who are biking, walking,
a Pleasant Street para pessoas que andam a pé, para pessoas que viajam de bicicleta, para crianças e adultos mais velhos e pessoas com deficiência.
The area of the project is
A
along
área do projeto
it will
é ao longo de Pleasant Street,
we can
que é esse cruzamento que
along this whole stretch of Pleasant Street and all of its non-signalized intersections.
Portanto, esquece que está assinalado, mas nunca está a fazer mudanças naqueles cruzamentos que está sinalizado nas Pleasant Street.
So at the Transportation Department, we
No Departamento de Transporte,
our design process, what we do is we first make some observations of the street,
uma
how
observação
people are using it,
e
we combine that with
pessoas
taking
estão
a deep look at
rua,
traffic data.
estamos a dar tráfego também,
Want to be informed by your experiences.
para ser informado de nossas experiências,
We tend to reach out to you and to hear how you are using the street and what
fotos
you're experiencing.
da rua,
Combine all three of those inputs into
combina
a design proposal.
esse
That's what we'll be showing with you today.
forma de comentário para fazer a avaliação final.
So I mentioned one of those inputs is
únicas maneiras que temos é coleção de dados, de número de veículos, excesso de velocidade, três localizações, conta número de pessoas,
and at those locations,
para além disto, pessoas que andam a pé, pessoas a bicicleta, pessoas a conduzir, para além do uso de cruzamento na escola, street, pessoas que andam a pé, bicicleta, outra conduz.
just gonna pause a little bit so the interpreters can catch up. Great. And another ingredient I mentioned was
Uma outra dimensão que
from you. And so what we
gostava de ouvir de nós, e gostava de ouvir através de e-mails,
phone calls,
chamadas de telefone,
postcards to
depois de não ter enviado postal através de
also
correio,
hosted a walking tour
e também
in October.
tour que
And
nos dá
virtual meeting
para
in
caminhar na 23 de outubro de 2021. Além disso, eu tive
residential stakeholders,
eu tive um ponto de tomar na 7 de dezembro e também tive conversão de pessoas que é residente, mas que tem parte que é acionistas também.
and we heard a lot in each of those different events, and
No refere ao que as vários encontros na segurança, na cruz da rua, portanto, na passadeira, no caso que também mencionei, tem pouca visibilidade. Dentro da barra, talvez, quando os condutores aumentam a velocidade, essa fase de voltas rápidas, essa volta rápida, essa usa a rua, talvez, mais um atalho, utilizando carros grandes, desde barco que tem circula para além de autocarros.
So after that meeting in December, we
Depois que ele encontra em setembro, eu tive trabalho de campo no observa chegada e saída na escola primária Edwards Average, no também localização de cidades, também vários desenhos que da ser possível fazer e por último fazer avaliação de mudanças baseado no nosso objetivo de projeto e também nas nossas prioridades que nós compartilha conosco.
So, without further ado, probably
Sem mais delongas,
the proposed changes that we have
as
tonight.
propostas de mudança.
First, we'll do a zoom out of where we're considering changes,
Primeiro, a gente não faz um
and then
zoom,
we'll discuss each one in more
que
detail.
zona ali, depois nós discutir cada deles.
South, we're looking at
Vindo de sul,
improvements to the crossing at the Edward Everett School.
na cruzamento de Edwards,
We're looking at Morrill and
do Edward Everett School,
at Mayfield Street,
portanto,
Willowcraft
Mayfield
Street,
Street,
and East Cottage and Pond Street.
e depois East Cottage e Pott Street.
All right. So for each of these locations, I'm going to show you
Cada uma
a
das
little bit of the
localizações
changes today, and then show you what we have
demonstram
in mind for
que não
possible
tenham
changes.
em mente
And
os
after
próximos
each,
tempos.
at each location, I'll then pause and we can
Cada
hear some of your
som tem
what you like and any questions you may have.
se
So,
Óbvio,
Edward Everett.
primeiro
So
Edward Everett.
today,
Hoje,
we've heard a lot about this crosswalk.
sou vestido de
from residents who were
passadeira
talking
que nos
from
mostra ali.
the school principal and some of the teachers there.
Portanto, o principal de escola, os
The
professores,
curve of Pleasant Street at this location,
é pouco curva na oficina
at the
nos
crossing is
anéis,
pretty restricted,
É,
especially when
na
there are
cruzamento
school
da
buses and
passadeira
parents who are stopping
autocarros de escola e outros
and
autocarros.
this we observed at
Você
arrival and
observa,
at dismissal.
observa as entradas e saídas e
Drivers can speed
o
through this
condutor
intersection
está aumenta a
without
velocidade de modo que lá
kids
você
and
está
parents
suspeito a
who are crossing.
limites
The principal and staff of the school
e
often
principal de escola
out there at arrival and dismissal to try to
esta lá na saída e entrada tem ajuda
because they
e
see that a good number of
assegura no estudantes atravessa a segurança.
There's already a fair amount of the curb line around the school is already parking restricted.
Tem várias curvas ao longo desta escola.
Parked there during arrival and dismissal time and the principal time.
Tanto na horas de sair, na horas de entra, tem um certo problema por causa dos vários.
So, what we're proposing in this
O que é
location
que
is
você propõe?
a number of things. First,
Número de coisas. Primeiro,
we are proposing to shift the location of this crosswalk a little bit further
muda a
to the north.
direção da passadeira.
Two things. One is
Todos os ali.
the sightlines and visibility.
Portanto, maior
So
visibilidade
drivers
de
are
passadeira.
more easily able to see when
O condutor está hoje a passadeira mais facilmente.
and we believe that that will help
Acham
more
que
drivers yield to pedestrians and
o condutor está da primazia, da prioridade e tem que se atravessar a rua.
this also aligns with the secondary entrance to the school.
Ele também está na segunda entrada da escola.
This curb line for buses to line up, whereas it was
Ficam
broken up.
mais à frente para
We shared this
carros.
design with the principal, and she actually kind of anticipated what we were going to be proposing and was very supportive.
E comentar sobre os objetivos.
In addition to shifting the crosswalk,
Além disso,
we're proposing that it be a
você propõe que
and as well as that we would be building some curb extensions. And I'm gonna
não tem que você pensa construir algumas extensões de curva para trava.
So raised crosswalks are at
Daí
the
leva,
same
você
level
pensa
as
daí
the
leva
sidewalk.
essa
They create a
zona de travessa,
in elevation as the driver
cruza a
over them,
rua, que se
and
passa
that
ali.
tends to slow drivers down and
Portanto, que ela também leva
slowing down
condutores
makes the driver
a grande velocidade,
easy to see people crossing.
que torna mais fácil hoje as pessoas atravessando a
Curb
rua.
extensions
Portanto, que as
also
extensões
to
de
increase
trava,
mobility of pedestrians
portanto,
because
faz com
they shift
que
people from being
zonas de
shift people
através
kind of
possa
out
ter
into
a
the
ser
roadway
mais
while still
curto
protecting them, and that makes it
e
easier for drivers to see people before they actually enter.
essa zona de passeio
Additionally,
aumenta
the crossing
a
distance
rua, na rua aproximadamente 6
extending the sidewalk approximately 6 feet.
pés, mais ou menos, extensão normal de passeio.
So we think all of these interventions will help
Porque
address
esse
the concerns of
som
the
de
school.
também
They do,
seu
anytime
problema.
that we are creating a curb extension,
Cria curva
those
de
are areas that
parada,
we can't allow
portanto, há
vehicles to be parked against.
naquela zona no que veículos
They
que
would
pode
be
estaciona,
the one travel lane through.
portanto, também que essas
So
linhas de
there are
tem que
some
ser
minor changes
completadas,
to
uma
the
linha
areas
só,
that people would be able to be parking.
também
To,
estabelecer áreas que estão ser autorizadas.
yes.
Pode fazer pergunta.
Aiden, I was just about to pause there. So thank you.
Serendipity. My name's Bree,
Okay.
and I live at
Meu nome é
15
Bree.
Street. I was on the walk back in October, which I really enjoyed. So
Estava na
organizing that.
caminhada que
One of the
fazia em
things that I
outubro.
was
Das
concerned about,
coisas
and I see
que
a
se
lot,
preocuparam,
especially during school pickup and drop off, is in front of the gas station where the
à
proposed
frente de
going.
estações de
Folks will often park
gasolina,
sidewalk.
são
I've
de
seen
gás,
at
gas
the
station.
busy or times up to 4 people just parked right on the sidewalk, and it can be really
E às vezes pode ser que
inconvenient, especially when there's a
quatro
lot of snow on the ground,
pessoas
and there are people
perto.
getting gas. It makes it just really difficult to cross that part of the street. So long story
É
short, I was
difícil
curious
para
if
as
you
pessoas atravessam.
observed that yourself when you were watching that part of the street, or heard anything from the principal, and if
Assim, houve alguma coisa de principal naquela curva onde tem aquele gas station.
Hi, we did go out and observe, and we did see that
Não
while
observa,
the curb extension will give a little more room,
aquela
for people to
curva
go
de
in there,
trava,
but I do hear your concern.
então houve essa preocupação que você tem.
I mean, we really can't do anything to stop people from parking on the sidewalk there because it
Portanto, infelizmente não fazer nada que não pode fazer para não impedir pessoas de estacionar naquele passeio, não fazer nada que não pode fazer. Para não impedir pessoas de...
Gotcha. Thank you.
We can potentially add things like bollards or a raised curb to the back, but I don't know
Às
that.
vezes aumenta a curva, aumenta a altura de curva para tentar diminuir.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, just wanted to share my observation, and if you could take it into
Apenas
consideration.
compartilhem a observação.
Did see that, and
Não hoje
point.
que problema
Thank
aí.
you.
Ponto. Obrigado.
If anybody else has a question, please use the raise hand
Alguma
function,
pessoa que tem uma pergunta, por favor, usa levanta a mão.
where I don't remember. Jen.
Yes, your raised hand function should be, there should be a button that says reactions. And if
Tem
you-
botão aqui da reação, tanto a lenha
Additionally, if
quanto
you're on
levanta a
the
mão.
phone, I believe if you press *9, that will raise your hand.
So we have some raised hands.
Então, tem alguns mãos que estão levantados, Michel veio ver.
Hi, Michelle, you are unmuted, but if you are talking, we cannot hear you.
Hello, yes, my name is Michelle. I live on
Meu nome
Victoria,
é Michel.
and I'm curious, sometimes when trying to pull out onto Pleasant,
Às vezes eu tento para Pleasant Street,
visibility is pretty tricky, mostly because there
às
is
vezes é bem pouco
Pleasant, so
difícil.
just seeing, past the parked cars can be quite difficult. I was
Que esse carros que estão estacionados está tornando tudo um pouco difícil.
Yes, we will be getting to Victoria Street a little later in the presentation.
Você fala sobre Victoria Street um pouco mais adiante na apresentação.
Help your visibility problem.
Portanto, queria que ele melhore o problema de visibilidade. Obrigado. De visibilidade. Obrigado.
Going to go to Bing next.
Hi there, Bing Broderick. I'm at 94.
Bing,
I also went on the walk.
Pleasant
Thank you very
Street,
much.
também participei de caminhada.
A question about the placement of the crosswalk is the crosswalk is largely used by people who are
E
dropping their
pasadeiras,
and
eu
right
trago
now
pessoas
there's
que
no way to drop your
deixam suas
children
crianças.
where the children don't
Yes.
have to cross the pathway of the cars going in and out of the gas station.
Portanto, crianças
And I just want to raise that because I think it will cause problems. But
que cruzam, tem que dar uso daquela estação de gás,
Thank you.
de
And
gas
note-
station. Isso.
All right, looks like we did get another question in the chat from Jonathan. What will
Uma
prevent
outra
people
visão
from
de
stopping in the Everett crosswalk to
Jonathan,
drop off and pick up children?
eu falo exatamente sobre a questão de
The
através
short answer to
da
that is we
praia.
can't stop people from
deixa
parking
crianças.
wherever they want. It's just not possible without some sort of police enforcement, but
Portanto, talvez o apoio de
makes it more
polícia,
difficult to do that, and
apoio e ajuda,
so that hopefully there's more compliance and not people
eu nunca
stopping.
espero muito ter mais respeito para regras em termos de cruzamento. Portanto, ajuda as pessoas a sabem o que tem conduzir e consciencializa, mas devido ao respeito a que passadeira, sabes que tema um pouco, talvez por sinais dá para tornar o máximo possível.
I think the first time we did observations, they had their crossing guard had retired or left, so they were without a crossing guard for some period of time. But the more recent times we've been, there has been a police person present. We also received a question about thoughts about bike lanes for Pleasant Street.
Deve ser sobre
This design will not be putting bike lanes on Pleasant Street at this time. Well, there is no plan to put bike lanes as part of this design, I guess is what I should say.
qualquer outra intervenção.
We'll say that it is our, we believe that this design, well, and we'll get through the other intersections as well, but altogether, these designs should slow down
Meio de grande velocidade de árvores e torna cruzamento de rua mais seguro.
There was a follow-up question. What are the bike symbol? What about the bike symbols that are like share the road lanes?
Those symbols are called sharrows. They're little chevrons with bikes underneath them.
Portanto, aqueles círculos que nós temos lá naquele mapa
Actually end up doing anything, and they don't legally mean anything.
nunca está a fazer nada na posição marcada, nunca está a fazer nada em relação aos ciclistas, aos titanos. É apenas uma questão de pinturas normalmente feitas.
All right, I want to make sure that we do get through the rest of the different locations that we're looking at.
Não estava a mostra de esse outro local que
Once we move through everything,
menciona no terceiro
any
vídeo,
other thing that we already went through. So that, let's move to Morrill and Victoria Streets.
não passa para Moral
So
e Vitória.
Victoria are
Moral e Vitória,
a pair of roads that do not
havia
allow
par de estradas,
exactly. They are a place that we heard from people
that
that about poor visibility for people crossing the one crosswalk that exists.
cruza atenção passadeira, só ter
This
tá?
crosswalk
É o único que se dá
does
mostra.
not have a ramp at the west end of it. It has
Portanto,
the
tem
two
levantamento zona levantada,
grassy area,
passeio.
and so that, of course, is an issue in addition to the concerns.
É mais problema.
So for those reasons, people were suggesting to us at the previous meeting and during the walk that this might be a good location for a raised crosswalk.
Pessoas acham bom
That is what
para saber.
the proposal aims to provide.
Portanto, não digo que foi
A similar type
que
of
na
to
política
what
passadeira
we discussed
fica
previously. In addition,
comparado
would be-
inicialmente.
we could build
Para
some
além
curb
disso, não
extensions,
tem que extensões para trás,
crossing distance, both,
tem que distância
Laurel and across Pleasant.
exigir.
And I think so that would be, we'd be shifting the crosswalk also for
Então, muda a localização de passadeira.
existing
Passadeira, em vez de estava
difference in grade between the roadway and the sidewalk.
entre a diferença entre a altura,
An ADA accessible
estrada
road.
e passeio.
We thought about aligning the crosswalk
Não
somewhat
pensa na por
in the middle,
ah,
but I believe that would spit you into a tree.
passadeira no meio,
So
e
the
cruzamento para ser
further north
mais
would
seguro.
help align with pedestrian desire lines and
A
provide
ter elevação de paciente é uma medida importante.
I think that hits everything, all the changes there.
Portanto, toda uma mudança aqui.
Again, similar to before, anywhere that there is a curb extension, to provide that visibility.
Cruzamento,
There needs to be,
visibilidade,
restrictions in parking,
restrições também de estacionamento.
So the cumulative impact is not that high.
Portanto,
I'll pause there, and I already see that we have one raised hand. So,
tem
John,
alguém que levanta a mão.
Hi, I live at 18 Victoria Street, right next to Michelle and her family.
Vive na
And,
Vitória.
I've been here since October of '83, and I've quite often seen
So,
Street as sort of a speedway. There have been
Anos
issues
da
because
velocidade anda faixa na Vitória Street.
going to Victoria Street, especially on Sunday, and when I stop at the stop sign, but I also always have to stop a second time to make sure that I can
Para na stop, o sinal de stop, não tem que parar um segundo vez por causa de tráfego na Vitória
I
Street.
think your question is about visibility there.
Right.
Isso é uma pergunta é sobre visibilidade da
Of Victoria and Pleasant Street. Is that correct?
Vitória
Right. And
Pleasant
in the
Street,
past, they had to take away
na cidade.
because it used to be legal to park
Mhm.
very close to the corner and accidents
Era
happen.
legal para parte próximo de curva.
And a car zooming along Pleasant Street grazed my front bumper.
So,
Tem elevação que existe, estava dando minha para-choque.
that doesn't go well, but you already have the space restricted south of the intersection.
Tem já uma restrição de
Reinforced.
estacionamento.
Option that we have is daylighting, where we put paint
Eu
across
tenho
the street to prevent
também iluminação diária.
much easier. Well, makes it so people follow.
Iluminação diária de pessoas que
better and
seguir
do
a
the sight lines that you need there.
melhor.
Yeah, I don't want to take away any parking because parking is bad enough as it is. Thanks to the resident.
Uma vez que estacionamento é difícil, não insiste tanto na questão de estacionamento, mas na Vitória Street é quase impossível. Estaciona lá.
So, just to reiterate here, this daylighting wouldn't take away
Yeah.
additional parking. You guys already have the restriction. It would just reinforce.
Quem não tem as restrições, o problema é que com luz de dia,
People won't park there.
pessoas que partem de zonas que se devem ficar restrito, então fica mais fácil estacionar.
Welcome.
Jonathan, I do see another question from Heidi. Will any of the street trees be affected with these updates?
We do not want to touch any street trees, and we are going out of our way to make sure that we do not come close to street trees.
Portanto, nunca te mexe na árvores, portanto, árvores que estão na rua, nunca te mexe em únicas árvores que estão na rua. Essa é a nossa intenção.
And then there is a question from James. Am I right in interpreting that the curb extensions here can include green space instead of just concrete?
That is our current plan. There's already
Plano atual
grass strips along this road.
é que usa relva para simplesmente cimento
We would much prefer there to be
como para bloqueio. Portanto, usa também relva.
And then finally, a question from Raheem. How can we as neighbors get together and get resident parking on all of our streets? That is a question that is outside the scope of this project.
Aquele projeto de
I don't know that I've
pergunta da nossos vizinhos se encontram a ver as restrições de estacionamento.
Ken, do you know anything different from that?
I'm just looking for quick clarification, but again, we can't do that as part of this, and I believe it's through your Office of Neighborhood Services.
Dá-me que as oficiais que controlam estacionamento e tráfego.
And I can certainly, we'll take, still, as far as we know, it's still on hold, but we'll definitely ask again and see if there's any, if we hear anything differently, we'll certainly be in touch.
E se não houve alguma coisa diferente daquilo que eu estava até agora, não tenho de reportar. Acho que é nunca ter mais. Passa para o seguinte, slide seguinte.
All right, so the next is Mayfield Street. So today there are all 4 legs of the Mayfield Street intersection. At the same
Cruzamento
time, some of the ramps are
Yes.
compliant with ADA.
Cruzamento.
In addition, residents raise concerns about motor
Está preocupado
vehicles not slowing down.
com carros da grande marcha.
And in fact, we heard a few times that this was sort of the spot where people started speeding up.
Pessoas têm problemas de rua por causa da cidade, e estacionamento também, estacionamento de carro, enfim, pessoas atravessam a rua.
But again, as we've discussed, sometimes those aren't always observed. So here's what we're proposing at Mayfield Street. Here we are hoping to build some curb extensions similar to the
Só
location.
pensa construir algumas extensões de
Are
estrada,
not proposing to raise these crossings. And there's a few reasons to this. Dan could probably say it all better, but one, we would not do
a grande coisa é que nunca quero fazer esse cruzamento de tudo de um vez. Às vezes dentro explica melhor do que pode ter tantos benefícios para o outro cruzamento.
Survey for this location,
Ele surgiu na facilidade da terceira propriedade.
Dan, I'm sure I butchered some of that, so if you
Às
take a
vezes
little bit more time.
as pessoas entendem melhor.
Rate intersection did not seem feasible when we looked.
Avante e que a interseção
The
fica
raised option.
usa
And the
de
next
água.
option is daylighting, which is shown here. This
A melhor
will
opção é luz de dia,
making it both easier for pedestrians to cross and to
portanto,
see
ser mais fácil para pessoas cruzam a rua, atravessam a rua.
ended by raised crossings, one block south and one block
Também leva, cruza a passadeira, para uma passadeira mais elevada.
additional proposed changes.
Propostas adicionais que pode surgir.
This does add the potential for additional green space, similar to earlier.
Espaços de
Including,
adicionais,
of course, installing ADA compliant ramps.
tanto rampas também.
I wanted to mention at this intersection, but I don't see any hands yet, but I'll pause for a moment and see if anyone has questions.
Há um segundo cada rampa.
I realize I do have one more slide with the parking restrictions we would need around these curb extensions. Sure.
Porque
Fairly close to what
restrições de estacionamento daquela área também.
some organizing in the chat, but not questions. So I'm gonna continue on to our next intersection.
Continua para o próximo cruzamento.
So here we are, Willis and Taft streets.
Wilson e Taft
Fairly
Street.
similar to the intersections we already went over further north.
A north
South. But
para
at
sul.
Willis and Taft, we do not have existing crosswalks at all.
Nunca tem passadeira nenhum.
There are some ramps, but they're not ADA compliant.
Tem
And
alguns passadeiros, mas é feito de acordo com a
there
lei.
weren't many opportunities to cross
Tem
Pleasant Street
oportunidade
between
de atravessar.
Mayfield and East Cottage, and Willis
A
and Taft
District East
are
Cottage.
approximately at the in between those two different existing crossings.
Portanto,
So this
entre
seems like
aqueles dois
a
outros
great location
gajos
to add another
que
opportunity to
atravessam a
cross,
rua
and,
que
so that's what we
existe.
have done. With this proposal, we would be adding
a proposta não adiciona
joining it toward
nem
the street.
passadeira naqueles lugares que também estamos tradindo.
Fairly similar, but I'll speak to some of their differences as well.
Temos
Both would
diferença
have
aí.
the crossing in
Esses
this location,
dois passadeira
build curb extensions.
tanto tem
The
aquelas
crossing
extensões
distances
de
and
entrada
accessibility.
para ser mais seguro.
If we in both do
E rua
require the same type of
é
parking
requerimento
restrictions around
que
extensions.
restrições.
Second option,
Também.
extend
Segunda opção
that extension all the way down to Taft Street, and also
pode
build
ter extensão até
more
Taft
extension,
Street, extensão de curva para trás, vai
south
para
of Taft.
diminuir a velocidade até Taft.
Where you can see the parking restrictions
Porque
that will be needed.
restrição de
And
estacionamento.
between the two,
Porque
there's not much
todos
difference in terms
que
of
têm
the
crianças
restrictions.
cheias em termos
Option
de
C does
restrição de
provide
estacionamento.
that, curb
Opção
extension south of Taft.
B
It has a bit more planting area,
da
and it
extensão
also
de
do a little bit more to
trava
discourage
mais
vehicles
para
from
sul
parking in
da
this,
Taft
in the area
Street.
between the raised crossing
Opção B tem mais área plantada.
that would be
Opção B
illegal to
é
park there,
mais
would be restricted.
difícil de parcar ilegalmente.
Their option B would probably have greater compliance.
Portanto, a opção B tem que ser mais de acordo com a lei, de acordo com o regulamento de estradas.
Feel free to unmute.
Am I on?
Yes.
Okay. So I had a question about some of the curb extensions. Just it seems
As curvas de carro, tanto a tenta como
meant to simply
é feito para
some of them I can
simplesmente
understand, but other ones are coming in a direction where people, like I guess on option A, the one that's most north, people would be
mais
essentially right onto Willis. Is that curb extension there just to give people more visibility to the pedestrian?
para dar desta mais
Curb
visibilidade,
extension is 2.1
extensão
does that.
que é aquela
Two
mais
is the
visibilidade,
requirement by our Public Works Department that it
exigência
aligns with the
também
community
das
self-evident
pessoas.
on the far side of the intersection. Thank you, Jen. If we have a bump out on one side, we need to have the gentle curve that we do on the far
Portanto,
side.
tem curva também, tem curva mais ligeira,
So yes, it gives you better safety benefits.
terá melhor benefício de curva.
For similar reasons, I guess in option B would be more aligned with what probably Public Works would like to see from us. Is that
Opção B de ser melhor,
Forward
opção
in
de
this
estacionamento,
they're fine with either of them. They both meet their standards. But that is
Não.
what is the bump out on the south side of the far one too, because again, you have to match the curb line.
portanto,
to the
não
other side
tem
of
que
the intersection,
também
for safety, for
também
going, for many reasons. For
mais pontos também.
seeing a lot of votes? B is getting a lot of love, but I also see a hand raised from Aaron. Feel free to unmute.
Hi, this is actually Jackie, Aaron's wife. This is actually in front of my house, and so I can see both of these options play out in real time. And I love particularly the intersection, it being there in general. I will say this would take away roughly 3 parking spaces as they're actually used. And I would probably, if it's possible, prefer on the other side of Willis, on the north side of Willis, because very fast traffic that comes off of House Street. People kind of whip out, and there's a lot of almost near accidents that happen
Show de acidentes que quase está acontece,
all the time. There's always horns
queria
beeping,
com frequência
on this part of Pleasant,
nessa
from
área de Pleasant
people
Street.
trying to like whip around and get out. And it maybe could
Estou tentando entrar e sair
with safe transition from the side street.
aquelas transições de
Thank you.
Thank you. There wasn't a question there, correct? That was more of a statement. Is that correct?
Foi mais afirmação que tinha
I wanted
fazer. Foi
to
pergunta.
make sure I didn't ignore you.
No, there's no question, just a
Não,
suggestion.
então eu quero
As of right here, and I can see
ter
the
ativação.
parking implications. Thank you.
Portanto, atualização.
We will certainly look at that.
So see a question from Ray. Any chance of changing the direction of House Street?
Not as part of this project.
Questa faz parte do projeto. Não.
That requires a lot more everybody on board for something like that.
Exige muito mais de show against de fazer parte do grupo que eles tomam decisão de dele.
I'm not seeing any further questions on this one, so I'm going to move on. But again, happy to return later on. And here we are at the terminus of our project, East Cottage.
Cottage, Pond Street.
We heard probably the most about this location, I would say, at our walk. It has a skewed geometric configuration. We got to go back in time,
But as you map
maps,
it,
it seems to have been this way for since it was built, perhaps. So this isn't new, but it is definitely, we've noted, a problem for a lot of people.
Currently,
there are crosswalks at 3 legs.
Atualmente tem pasadeiras.
And there's also a pedestrian refuge island in the west side of
Tanto
Cottage Street.
na zona este de
Many of the ramps are not compliant.
qualquer dessas rampas,
Most of all, is
de acordo com normas de
drivers
trânsito.
coming down East Cottage and
Descendo East Cottage, tanto na outra parte,
at fast speeds, and also about
depois
other
também
drivers speeding through the
esta anda mais fácil que naquele
so this was definitely
East
a
Cottage
key
Street.
point we heard about, and so this in this location
Naquela zona que
it's a
estamos,
little bit
certo?
confused by the geometry of the intersection and how much
Geometria de
roadway space there is. So I'm
cruzamento.
going to walk you through what we're proposing.
Mostrar os blocos aqui no propõe.
First of all, one thing
Yeah.
you'll note here as you're looking at this plan is that
Ah,
this
yeah,
location
yeah.
we will be working with
São os
what we
trabalhos
call like temporary materials, so with like flex posts,
materiais temporários que é
there are
flexível.
not, engineered built components that are changing the design.
Feitos convencionais.
We really heard both on the walk and in December at the virtual meeting the need for a quicker intervention to slow traffic and improve pedestrian safety. And we felt like to be able to provide the safety with construction materials was going to be outside the budget of this project. In addition, there was going to be questions about what all of this additional space, how it would be used.
Espaço adicional que não se dá
City-owned roadway,
onde
whether
tem
the park
espaço de
department or someone in the city would be able to maintain that space. What it would look like
e pode continuar aquele espaço. Então, estão se trabalhando a existência
the
daquele
timeline you all wanted to see in terms of
espaço.
safety improvements. So what we are proposing to do here
Para que
is
nos propõe nessa área,
to take this starting at probably the biggest problem point over here.
o principal problema é na condição da montanha certa, que
We're
é
trying to simplify the intersection to taper it into just one lane.
portanto, fazer apenas
do that with flex
fila,
posts and with
não
striping, and that
passa, não
significantly shortens the crossing distance,
portanto, distância de passadeira que diminui,
preventing vehicles from parking in the spaces very close to the intersection.
estaciona
Visibility of
próximo
crossing
de
here.
passadeira.
So now moving towards the south, we're doing a
Mudando para
treatment
sul,
where we're going to be, restricting parking and
Apoli tem restrições
that
de
area
né,
close to the crosswalk, which is also in effect shortening the crossing distance.
também
You'll see kind of yellow and black symbol here, and that
deve
is
ser
a
aumentado.
slow turn wedge, so that's gonna, in addition to these flexible.
Também, para além disso, tem curva de velocidade mais slow, velocidade reduzida.
Quickly and cutting off the corner.
Quando estamos por ali em direção a fazer mais devagar.
Again, some kind of tightening up of that crosswalk to shorten the distances there. Another turn wedge.
Distâncias mais pequenas.
Taking this S really quickly. And then, of course, up here you see, so one of the things we should say is that we've kind of analyzed this, the movements of vehicles, what kind of space they would need to actually make this S turn, to make it around onto Pond Street, going north. This is those movements, and so we've taken the space that was not needed.
Usa que espaço que é necessário.
Close will prevent people from using that area.
Now,
what how people choose to use that area is kind of a question.
Só se tu hoje lá,
our short-term fix would be this would be sufficient. We believe to slow the speeding and the fast turn,
diminui velocidade,
and then
torna
kind
cruzamento
of
mais
us as a
fácil.
city and the neighbors to kind of have conversations about what happens in that space later on.
E potência mais tarde, pessoas que moram na zona, discussão que vai ser feito bem naquela área.
Please feel free to raise your hand if you would like to voice your question.
Thank you, Dan. I see a question about, okay, we'll go with Cody.
Hey there. Question. I live at the intersection of Pleasant and House Street, and as has already been mentioned, cars the stop sign, they turn right, and also having driven through there a couple of times, it's really difficult to do that because of the parked cars on either side. I'm just wondering if there's been any talk about daylighting that intersection. There's parking restrictions on either side on Pleasant Street, but people park there anyways, pretty much 24/7. I'm just wondering, like, it wasn't in the presentation, but have you guys talked about potentially daylighting that?
Fala sobre que questão que cruzamento.
We were not looking to do that originally.
No caso da pensa fazer original.
That is something that people would be interested in.
E são as pessoas que estão preocupadas com a questão do estacionamento, inclui quanto a luz e dia e estacionamento também.
Hi, yes, Mead. I live on East Cottage Street. I actually just have the last question. As someone who walks up and down Pleasant Street like twice a day with a dog, I would actually say the Howes Pleasant Street intersection is probably one of the most dangerous. And park within a certain amount of feet at the stop walk, or sorry, the stop sign on Howes, but people do it anyway, and obviously people coming from the
sinal de estacionamento para pessoas que estão respeitar passa mesmo assim, a distância, sinal de aumenta também a visibilidade de pessoas que essa rua.
Kira. Kara, I think you're still muted.
I was talking away there for a minute. Okay, thank you. I was very excited to see this intersection at East Cottage and Pond Street after seeing all the previous ones. So beautiful. And this one leaves me with a lot of concerns. Are the temporary plastic bollards being put in? You said so we could get to address the safety issues. It's not a parking issue. Is it like, will these be done then much sooner than the rest of the street?
não sabemos resolver mais assim e atrás.
Bollards tend to get run over and damaged, and the city, we would have to rely on the city to maintain them, which is not realistic.
Pressão
You just never know with things like that. Something more permanent is really required at this most dangerous intersection of the entire street. I just don't see this either looking nice or being sustainable, because they're going to get hit and damaged and plastic. The question is, on Palm Street, so any kids or families coming from the Edison Reed sort of side of the neighborhood to cross to get to the park have to cross these three like crosswalks in a roundabout way to get there. And there is a
roda para cruzar a rua.
crosswalk there, so they could kids are going to cross there anyway.
E daí é possível fazer passadeira para cruzar crianças para cruzar
Columbia Road, and a little kid darting out of the gate that exists to cross the street to get to their side of the neighborhood.
Isto é lado que é parque.
I don't see a lot of kids taking the time
Atravessa a rua para o parque, esperando que eu quero mudar.
Sure. So there's a lot to unpack there. So
Sorry.
I apologize. I know people have feelings about this one. This is a big intersection. This is what people want to see.
Todos têm sempre a preocupação quando tem grande, cruzamento que é grande.
Answering your question.
Tenta responder
As you noted, this is a big intersection.
não sabia onde é que é grande.
Space that we can take away from this
O
intersection.
espaço que não pode esperar de ter.
We don't have something that we can put there
É algo que não pode.
right now that would just
Nesse mesmo momento,
Parks is not interested in taking over that land currently.
portanto, parques que está interessado na toma daquele espaço de gósi,
So without knowing exactly what we want to
sem saber exatamente o que é que a gente vai fazer naquele espaço ali,
with parks in this routing, people,
não se
we
indica
don't want to do building
muitos
options
aspectos,
here because will either just be rebuilt later
talvez algo que feito temporariamente para ir para ser reconstruído mais tarde.
It's also not good.
E também usa cimento ser
Move to our
opção
second
melhor.
option, which is the paint and flex post option, which we have here.
Talvez usando pintura temporária por ser
The timeline yet, so I cannot tell you exactly when this will go in.
temporariamente entre resolver isso não se resolve, talvez tenha exatamente quando é que vai ser resolvido permanentemente.
And as for the flex posts, we do check them quarterly. They will be put down, knocked down,
Todo
and
trimestre,
serial offender flex posts when we readjust the design to
hoje tem conquista na questão da
they're not run
vida,
over every other day.
redesenho
Or
de
access that
quer
we can
zona
adjust the design as necessary at that point. I think that answered most of your questions.
That's uma que ele respondi na parte.
Just a quick addition to that, we have reached out to parks, yet been able to like have a real conversation with them about what this would look like. But do know that that's something we're trying to advance that conversation. We just don't have.
E continua aquela conversa que depois nunca sabe atualmente o que é que se
But we are trying. As to the other, I missed one thing, Kara, which was the crosswalk on the north side is we can look into that, but again, it will come at the cost.
Aquele passadeira na cidade norte, nesse momento, nunca pôde mexer na ele por prato dele também.
It is less than 10 spaces currently. We don't know exactly. It will
Nunca sabe
shape up
exatamente
done,
o
but we add
que é que não termina no mesmo momento
but it will come.
que era o cruzamento de ter passadeira de lado norte e dessa
All right, I'm gonna keep moving because we have a bunch more questions.
Tabato, passa que eu vou pergunta.
I believe it's Jana.
Hi, this is Diana. Yeah, I'm sorry, I joined this call a little bit late. So I was just wondering if you're putting these 4 raised crosswalks for
Sim,
sure.
só que eu uso que essa passadeira e a bandeira por causa de segurança. Portanto, é apenas uma adiciona.
Shown are what we as the city would like to do. We're here to show
A cidade não está gostando de fazer e aumenta a segurança. pessoas que estão sem exatamente
Great. And do you have a timeline for that? I'm sure this
tem
has been.
prazo
Sorry
para
for
We will Jen will share a timeline at the end of the presentation, I believe.
Portanto, na fim da apresentação é
One more question. I see that this is being recorded. Can we get the recording by any chance to our emails?
Portanto, não ele conseguir ter registro na net, registro dessa reunião, sim, claro, é bom.
You can unmute Raheem.
Yeah, I just want to voice my official support for the East Cottage little intersection there. It's
Apoio para East Cottage.
even I've run through the stop sign, of course, many times. Just not paying attention. I'll admit it myself. That intersection is quite crazy. I live on Edison Green, by the way.
Interseção realmente difícil para o seu
In the future, obviously not in this project.
na futuro da esfera metafísica, resolve pessoas quiserem juntem grupos de comunidade para questões de segurança.
But the East Cottage is really good. I know a lot of people are against the flex post, but budget-wise, that's all we're going to get. You guys have worked really hard on this.
Thank you, Raheem. And just to throw that on too about the parking, we run into this issue every time we propose safety.
Tem que lidar com questões complicadas sobre desenho portanto, estacionamento no cruzamento é problema sempre muito difícil.
I believe next we had Cody.
Hi there. Just one question / proposal for what to do with that big tan area. Have you guys thought about reaching out to Blue Bikes to see if we could get a year-round station there? Because right now there are I believe they're both seasonal, and the season is extremely short. It's 70 degrees out today, and they're still not up. And so I was wondering if there's a Blue Bike station in that tan area. My fault, but still, it'd be nice to have some more of that available.
That sucks, but luckily I work just a few cubes down from Kim, and Jen can see her from her cube, and she runs all of our Blue Bikes, so we can certainly look into putting a station in that area. And these are, again, we are looking for feedback here. On to Michael.
Hi, good evening. Thanks, guys. First, I really want to say thank you because one thing I think was stressed a lot of through a lot of our earlier discussions were we'd really like raised crosswalks and not a lot of the plastic things. And it looks like about 85% of this project crosswalks and the bump up. I just wanted to say that I agree about, I almost feel like the intersection of house is kind of more critical than the Mayfield one, personally. There was a crosswalk at house and there was more attention.
É mais difícil de toda questão de maneira como casas, depois logo a seguir, aquele cruzamento que tem.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that at the major intersection there has to be some compromises aesthetically
praticamente
One idea
é
for
que
that
a gente tem
space in front of the park is, I know in some areas
Certo,
it's typically like a large cobblestone area with like those metal stanchions with like the metal chain.
extensão
That could be really attractive. Just kind of create like a courtyard.
cria moda
Leave it as an empty sort of
yeah,
cobblestone area that could be really attractive.
capire talvez tornar mais atraente do ponto de vista estético.
Chain. I don't know. It's just an idea.
Só uma ideia.
But again, thank you for hearing us out and for making some really good choices for us.
Assim, boas escolhas para nós. Obrigado.
Yes, thank you for your idea, Michael. And
Obrigado, Michael, pela ideia.
On to Amy.
Yes. Sorry, I'm Ivan on my wife's computer. So I love the ideas, love where things are going. My concern, and I think we talked about this, I'm not sure if I've heard anyone ask this, is we have a ton of units. I mean, you see what's going on down and Crescent. Then you go down the street all the way, you know, going from Pleasant all the way towards, and that's going to be a massive influx of people coming in to the neighborhood.
Muitas pessoas que estão dentro que vivem vizinhança ali. Porque esse parque de estacionamento tem um fluxo enorme.
Many of us, especially those of us with children, don't have an option to not use our car. And I come from New York City, where I live, and that is why I was there in New York City, because I just could not get home and not figure out how to get, go around for 10 minutes and then find a spot.
Yeah,
With my car. So parking is something that I think we have to maybe kind of consider. Someone had a great idea of diagonal spots to allow more people to park.
A ideia de diverge tráfego. Ano passado, onde se identifica
what parking is going to look like in our neighborhood after all of these
pessoas que se estacionam na zona, você não
they're not going to be showing up to these meetings. They are
não fazem reuniões e encontros.
What I'm trying to say is, like, without the variable that everyone's waiting to see what happens once those buildings, I do think that we have an opportunity here to also maybe think about solving a future problem as well, while making our neighborhood more, our neighborhood safer to walk through concurrently. Some ways in which we can increase our ability to park and then accommodate the influx of people.
And they're like, yeah, one spot per unit. Yeah, but you know that it's going to be three. Each one with their own cars. And it's going to push the traffic, the parking concerns all the way into the rest of the neighborhood. And I just want to call that out. Let's try to solve a problem before it becomes Southie. Like, no one here, I think we all live where we live because we don't want to be what we don't want to do.
Thank you, Ivan.
Oops, sorry, I muted myself. Dahana, you are next.
Hi, this is actually Steve, Diana's husband. I just wanted to say thank you for your efforts. I know this is not an easy project or task. Pay attention to this or be motivated, but
presta atenção àquilo que as
we quite literally feel unsafe. We
sinto inseguro, não tem que ir lá. Aqui é assim, também tem.
I was just walking outside right now. There's a car 40 miles an hour down Pleasant Street, and a car pull out from house for probably I've never seen people drive like this in my life. I have no idea where people learned how to drive like this. Anyone in the city even realizes like this is every day. So I just wanted to thank you. I'm gonna support the role of this. I know anything we can get to this level, and the urgency to just get that timeline, you know, sort of increased, I think would be helpful. Thank you.
We are here to make this street a safer place for you, so we'll do the best that we can.
Jonathan. I think you gotta mute.
Did you unmute someone, Jen?
Oh, you're asked to mute.
One thing I've seen over the past several years is that developers will approach the city with a proposal. They'll take Uber, Lyft, they'll do whatever. So then all of a sudden this couple moves in and they've got to go out of town to see clients. They want to go to the store and they can't get there by Uber, Lyft. They want to go see their parents. And maybe they can buy another space in the garage if available. But
non tem que considerar a questão de estacionamento.
Yeah, I agree with Michael Keeney that this isn't about
Michael Keeney,
parking is sort of an inescapable part of this whole debate.
Lugar de estacionar é fácil de conhecer o problema.
Sandra, feel free to unmute.
Hey there. Sorry, I thought I already unmuted. Am I unmuted now?
You are all set.
Great. I'm Sandra Libby. I'm the playground planner with the DCR, and responsible for the maintenance, not the daily maintenance, but the maintenance of the equipment on the and working. I just think that you guys have done a very good job.
Tem feito bom trabalho. Tirou fatores que considerei excelente.
Thought this through a lot, and I hear you that you really wanted to talk to
Fala sobre estacionamento, disponível, ajuda também sobre a área que o brinca, sobre a área depois do lanche maneira.
Appreciate that. And I don't see any other hands raised. There are, oh, I see a physical hand raised. Ray, would you like to unmute? I think, sorry, you looked like you unmuted and then it muted again. I apologize.
All right, here we go. Sorry about that. Yes, I want to underline everything that people have been saying. It's been a very dangerous situation. Twice there, and you know, we all want to be able to safely get to our destination, obviously, and what you're doing is really going to save a life. I know that for a fact. And the other thing that I just wanted to mention is I like how cottage onto Pleasant, that it looks like from the design that you're straightening that up a little bit. Is that what I'm viewing?
The
closer to I aim to get 90-degree corners. You get a lot more.
Antes de 90 graus.
Torna um pouco mais difícil to kind of take the turn at speed along
Como nós fizemos fazer tudo a alta velocidade.
One of the major issues with
E tem sido um dos principais problemas.
When people are flying by, they're not even stopping. I mean, I've seen people go
Para, as pessoas estão
and that's pretty damn fast going around.
andando por uma velocidade.
Anyway, I do appreciate you doing something to
tem que anda
hopefully stop, but if they
e
don't,
provavelmente para, e se para, pelo menos anda sobre eu tinha trabalho com as pessoas lá para obrigado.
On to Tony.
Hi. Thanks so much for the presentation. I appreciate all that discussion around like bike specific lanes was talked about, and it doesn't seem like there's parking. But is there any way or any plan to put down like markers on the road that indicate it is a shared space? Because there are many difficult and combative automobile drivers at times, and I just want to make sure that it's understood that it is a shared space and that the design of the road is meant for both car and bike to be in the same lane.
Objektivu cada espaço.
I hear you, because again,
Tá,
you
então, compreende.
be in the same lane, and you're looking for a little reinforcement. Generally, we don't do sharrows in something like this. I can ask around and look into that. I cannot promise it because I want to make
Poi promette nel momento non si considera fazer. Cos'è che non tem tempo da
So my answer is a resounding
minha pergunta é minha resposta é exatamente o que você tenta fazer.
Right. I don't see any other hands raised, so I'm gonna turn over to the chat and see if there are any questions that came in there that we didn't address. I see one from James about, and I believe this is in reference to East Cottage and Pond Street, about the possibility of raising the crosswalk.
Pond Street, pergunta na chat.
Sorry, could you say that again, Jen?
Yeah. Oh, no problem. About the possibility of, I believe it's
Possibilidade
crosswalk across
de
the
levar
East Cottage Pond Street location.
Again, that falls into we're not ready to do full construction at the center. Changes that may not meet the other side, so we are avoiding construction changes here for now at this intersection.
Ray had asked, what does daylighting mean?
Daylight.
Sure. Daylighting, you can see on the bottom. Jen, can you point at one? Go to the right one that's by itself. A little more right. Yeah, there you go. That one. Daylighting, you can see right there. It is a little area striped as wide as a car, about 20 feet long. We put a couple flex posts in it, and it is just to help reinforce areas that you are not allowed to park in. We're not changing.
Daylight, nunca se muda, precisa fazer restrições de parqueamento, no sistemamento da forma mais fácil para quem se vai para a rua.
We also had a question from Matt. Explain the simplify intersection. He's referencing
Sure.
this.
You look at this intersection when you go out there, it's just a big expanse of pavement. When you have a
Tem
big
extensão de rua. Para olhar de volta no cidade na cidade.
Thank you, Dan.
Obrigado.
We had a question from Kara. Could they, which I think means that the flex posts, be at least permanent posts like concrete or large planters?
I can't put
No cimento ou outros tipos de material. É caro, Additionalmente,
planters or large concrete structures, unfortunately.
Looks like
tem discussões porque grandes construções de cimento armado.
Although I suppose that I imagine that also refers to the flex posts, but Dina, please feel free to unmute if you have if I misinterpreted your question.
Flex posts do not block line of sight. They're about 3 feet tall and they're about four.
Che loro sono di blocchi também pensa usando
Scrolling through. Sorry, we got a lot going on in the chat.
I did write in the chat, Jen, that we might not be able to get to all the questions in there because I know we do have to wrap up, but that we will be reading them. And
depois de outra volta que ele está deixando fazer mais tempo, termina.
All right, so
Okay.
that, I do have a couple more slides just about the next steps and schedule, but I'll go to now.
Tem algumas considerações para os próximos passos.
Next steps.
Próximos passos.
All right.
Próximos passos.
So,
Pleasant Street. Está
we are
primavera de 2022.
download the entire chat and make sure we have read through everything.
Portanto,
Seen everything.
tem que ler aquele chat, fazer ajustes baseado na maneira como reage na verão até outono de 2022. Colabora com outros departamentos e outras agências na concepção ou no desenho.
We're going to be sharing updates with you
E eu também compartilho atualizações de informações com nós.
would then be to come back with final
Muito bem,
designs
depois da reunião quando considerar.
is for construction in sometime in 2023.
E a altura em 2023 ultrapassando que faz.
Wanted to let you know that
É
you're welcome to share
Deixe-nos
thoughts
dar
and
de
ideas after this meeting ends.
depois dessa reunião termina,
This
foi
email address
comentário na flecha dot street
You're also welcome to visit the
at
website. There you can also sign up for the mailing list. Although actually, anyone who's logged into the Zoom
qualquer que está ligado ao assunto do medjor, e-mail, questões de usa, fazer comentário ou website.
That's all we got for tonight. So
Tudo,
thank you so much
muito
for joining
obrigado
us,
por
for
tudo.
taking time out of this
Nós temos
beautiful
tomado
night to be with us on Zoom. We really appreciate it and
aprecio.
look forward to seeing you again
Sabe,
or
não,
come back again with
e nos vemos de novo.
more finalized plans.
Mas,
Zoom.